Hi everyone. Hope you're all doing good. Okay, so this is the second round draw for the 37th edition of the Tapology Lucky Bastard Game. Last week we started a new game with 45 people, and now the wheel last week split the field pretty much in half with 22 making it through. We'll just quickly remind ourselves who those 22 lucky bastards are. They are Baron von Rattus, C. Collins 44, D1 D4 K10, Dr. Maxis 2, Grahamon, Great, It's Your Boy SB, Jack Soto, reigning defending Lucky Bastard Game champions Jordan and Pippin, who are, of course, QQQ, and Spockling's Alliance. First alliance to win the Lucky Bastard Game, of course. Looking to see if they can defend their title. We've got through the first round. Let's see if they can go all the way again. JP the Champ 27, KK Kombu, Knife Rusty, Love Song, Rigno, Shat, Cian6, me, Steve Terry, The Dirty UFC Man, Trail, Troz, Vasque88, and XCon Chris. Okay, so those are the 22 lucky bastards, and the ones remaining anyway. Some of you won't be as lucky bastards come the end of this round. But for this round, we have our fight night in Australia, down under. Jack Della Maddalena versus Carlos Prates. And it's very interesting fight, really, isn't it? It's two you got Jack Della Maddalena obviously lost his belt last time to Islam Makhachev, but no shame in that, given Makhachev's one of the best we've ever seen in sport. And up against Prates, the sort of the new kid on the block who's just been knocking everybody the fuck out. And it's one of these. I think Jack's got the advantage. I think he's the slightly better fighter overall in terms of all round skill set, but Prates has that ability to just end anyone's night in an instant. Um, Having said that, I have still gone with Jack Della Maddalena for to win by decision. I think that as long as he stays calm and just withstands the pressure um, early on, then I can't see why he doesn't avoid getting knocked out. Because I mean, after all, he took Islam Makhachev the distance. So I think he can do the same against Carlos Prates and squeeze the decision win there. If, of course, Prates doesn't knock him out. But of course, you're not here to listen to my rambles. You're here to see who you're going to get drawn with. Um, of course, my rambles, because this card is going off in about 6 hours' time, and I do want to try and get at least a couple of hours sleep before it starts. So this will be my analyst won't be much analyst, to be honest. So it'll just be a few comments here and there, and then just move on to the next one because don't want to risk making a 2 hour long video and then having this thing actually start um or potentially run into technical difficulties with it uploading to YouTube and whatnot, and then yeah, and then have this thing actually start before I've got it done. So this will just be a very quick run through, uh, not much detailed analysis really, but I'm sure you're all relieved to hear that. Anyway, first up we have Baron von Rattus. Let's see who the wheel picks for Baron von Rattus. It's Ben Johnston for Baron von Rattus there. Ben Johnston be representing the Rat. Johnston, isn't it? Rather than Johnson. And he's obviously up against Wes Schultz, middleweight contest. And not many fights under his belt. Only 6 fights in his entire career so far. Having said that, Schultz only had 11, so this is a sort of very much a close battle between two relatively inexperienced fighters here. Uh, could go either way. Although Johnson, in his favour, has got is currently riding a four-fight win streak and is going into this as a slight favourite. So I think this is quite a good pick for Baron von Rattus. Could have definitely been a more favourable one, but it's a close fight. He's got the slight favourite for it. Should be okay, I reckon. Okay, so we move on now to C Collins 44. Let's see who C Collins 44 is going to be matched with. Shamil Gaziev. Shamil Gaziev there for C Collins 44. Obviously, heavyweight contest against Brando Perisic. How are we spelling Gaziev? Gaz I-E-V. G-A-Z. I-E-V. Yeah. More experienced of the two fighters, and so I've gone back and forth a couple of times on this one as to who I think's the winner. At the moment, I've gone with Perisic simply on the basis of the fact that I completely underestimated him last time he fought in his fight against Lewis Sutherland, who I thought Lewis Sutherland's coincidentally also on this card. I thought he was going to win that one. He did sort of make a fan of me, or sort of at least prove me wrong with that. So I'm not going to ever try and deny his power again. Because again, I thought this was going to be a situation where Sutherland in the last fight was more experienced, was going to uh, use that experience, but Perisic found the answer to that. So Gaziev a little bit more experienced than his last opponent, of course, but I'm not gonna underestimate Perisic again. So it's again a very close fight, especially for heavyweights, where one punch can end anything. So this is an absolute 50-50 for C. Collins, 44 here. Um, but I've gone with Perisic personally, but it's heavyweights we're talking about here, so can go either way. It's one basically just comes down to who lands the most significant shot first, really. Okay, so we move on to D1, D4, K10. Let's see who D1, D4, K10 is going to be matched with. That is Cam Roston. Oh no, it's not. I thought it was. Sorry, that is Louis Sutherland there. Louis Sutherland. I thought, um, Louis Sutherland there. I thought it was going to finish on Cam Roston away. The wheel was slowing down, but according to the website there, it actually landed on Sutherland rather than Roston. So we'll go. So that's what it is. The wheel says it's Louis Sutherland. Obviously, that's obviously the guy I've just mentioned. Even though not in the same fight, he's up against Tai Tuivasa. Um, Tai Tuivasa's been on a horrible losing streak recently. Just can't find a win from anywhere, and he's a fan favorite. He's great entertainment, but the truth is, I'm not sure how much longer he's going to be in the UFC for. Really, it seems like all the up and comers that he's been up against have just come in and beaten him, and I don't see how it's going to be any different for Louis Sutherland, unfortunately. So for him, so even though personally my heart's saying Taisu Ivasa, Louis Sutherland I think is going to win this, and luckily for D1 D4 K10, that's who he's got. So I think this is a brilliant pick for D1 D4 K10. Again, it's heavyweight; anything could happen, but I think yeah, definitely could have been a lot worse than that. So I think you got one of the better options there. Okay, so we move to now to Dr. Maxis 2. Let's see who Dr. Maxis 2 is going to be paired with. Where's Schultz? For Dr. Maxis 2. Wes Schultz, as mentioned there earlier, uh, obviously up against Ben Johnson. So that's a head to head between Baron von Rattus and Dr. Maxis 2. That's our first head to head. Maybe that's going to end up being the Lucky Bastard Game main event. But as we said earlier, it's a very close fight. Schultz lost his last fight, knocked out by Damien Penis and Pinas rather than Penis. So I'm not sure 100% how I pronounce that. I'm going to go with Pinas. Uh, but so yeah, he got knocked out in his last fight. So it's going to be a bit of a he's going to need to get his confidence back a little bit after that. And a lot of this could potentially, because of how close it is, come down to how Schultz reacts to that. Does he come in a lot more gun shy? Was he affected by that too much, or is he now, as that sort of lit a fire in his belly, struck a match under his arse and sort of got him to really sort of double down and more determined than ever to prove what he's got to show us. But that's our first head to head anyway, with Dr. Max's 2 with Wes Schultz, Baron von Rattus with Ben Johnson, in a fight that could go either way. So quite intriguing, that one. Let's see if anyone else joins either side of them for that fight. Next is Grahamon. Let's see, who is the wheel going to match Grahamon with? Ben Johnson. So we stick with that fight. I did just say that will there be anyone else that um, ends up on that fight? And Grahamon also gets Ben Johnson. Um, and as I said earlier, it's a close fight, but Johnson comes into this with a four-fight win streak to his name. If you believe in momentum, that's obviously gives him a massive advantage there. Questioning Wesley's confidence just now, the opposite probably going to be true for Johnson. It's going to be absolutely full of confidence coming into this one. Uh, so not, not a hell of a lot more I can really add to that, other than especially seeing I'm trying to just rattle through this quite quickly, save any hiccups later. But it's a very interesting 2v1 already at this early stage. So be interesting to see if anyone else gets either Johnson or Schultz. Great. Next up, even though he's not on Tapology anymore, um, he's still in the game as a lifetime pass holder. So let's see who Great is going to have representing him in the cage in a few hours' time. Oh, you are just... Oh, what are the odds of that? Four times in a row, four already for that. So it's Wes Schultz. Well, great. Ends up with Wes Schultz there. So that is now a 2v2. This is definitely looking like it's going to be our Lucky Bastard Game main event. Um, Again, not a hell of a lot I can add to that. Um, Other than obviously Schultz be coming in, really trying to prove a point. Um, Trying to, uh, yeah, basically just trying to get his confidence back, if nothing else. And I say he looked promising on the contender series. So I remember that much from him, but still, still yet to really make a mark on the UFC. Having said that, I suppose you can argue the same's true for Johnson, hasn't yet made his UFC debut. Uh, would you rather go with someone making their UFC debut or somebody who's having their second fight in the promotion but got knocked out in their first fight in the promotion? Um, but as I say, it's a very close fight overall, and almost certainly looks like, for the purposes of the game, it's going to be the unofficial Lucky Bastard Game main event. That one, 2v2 already, only six fighters in. We've already got a 2v2. Anyway, we move on now to It's Your Boy SB. Let's see who what the wheel's got in store for him. Let's see. Seriously. Wow. Okay, Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson there for Johnston rather for but it's your boy SB. That's incredible. Five times that fight's already come up, and it's oh dear, that's three times in a row it's been drawn, and five times overall. But yes, that is just to confirm. It's your boy SB with Ben Johnson, who, like I say, close fight. I think Johnson comes into this as the favourite, but that is extraordinary. This is almost certainly going to be the Lucky Bastard Game main event because that's about a quarter of the people in this game on that one fight. So this is that fight is going to have a lot of intrigue to it. It's a lot of intrigue. And it's I can't believe that. Well, okay, let's move on, I suppose, because I can't really keep beating a dead horse. Can't keep rambling on about that, especially when I'm in a little bit of a hurry. Right, we move on to Jack Soto. Is he also going to get Wedge Schultz or Ben Johnson? Let's see who Jack Soto gets paired with. Oh no, we do get a different one. Ollie Schmid, I think that is pronounced. Ollie Schmid for Jack Soto. Um, let's see. How are we even spelling that one? That is SCHMID. So Ollie Schmid there. And at least it's a different one this time. That's the main thing. Adds a bit of variety to the game. Otherwise, he could end up. I mean, could you imagine if it was like? Could you imagine if it's a case of uh, we have everyone pretty much lumped on one, and then it's on one mat fight, and then that gets cancelled. Uh, to wipe everybody out. Anyway, back to this fight. Ollie Schmid up against Marwan Rahiki. Of course, is uh, in the Tapology Lucky Bastard Game Hall of Fame. Off the top of my head, I'm I'm tempted to say he was the one for Jordan and Pippin. Can't quite remember right now off the top of my head at like half two in the morning, but obviously Rahiki comes into this as a massive favourite. 8-0 compared to Schmid's 4-2. Schmid looks completely outclassed. If I'm being completely honest, I just don't see any way that he wins. Uh, it's going to be an easy first round knockout for Marwan Rahiki. Uh, yeah, I'm sorry, Jack Sosso, but that is a terrible, terrible outcome for you. Who knows? Maybe you can pull off a massive upset, but it's MMA. Stranger things have happened, but I would be very surprised if Ollie Schmidt is the guy to take the O from Marwan Rahiki. But best of luck to you. But probably the worst pick you could have got on the entire card, if I'm being completely honest. Okay, so um, let's see if our reigning defending Tapology Lucky Bastard Game champions have any better luck. Uh, it's Jordan and Pippin, of course, QQQ, QQQ, and Spockling's Alliance. Let's see if they can get an absolute slam dunk of a pick from the wheel. Yes, Vince Morales. Vince Morales there for the All-American Jordan and Pippin. Morales. Let's see if I actually spell his name right. Always a good start if we can actually spell the name right. And yeah, so I say with where am I? That's There we are. It's up against Colby Thicknessie. I just thought Vince Morales would be further up the card, to be honest. Um, it's anyway, it's surprised he's on the prelims. Very surprised, but one of the most experienced fighters they've got on this card. 16 wins, 10 losses. Okay, not the most glamorous record, but experience surely got to count for something. Obviously, Colby Thicknessie is going to be the hometown favourite for this, being in Australia. And yes, Morales has been on a three-fight losing streak, but the guy's a legend of MMA. So I'm surprised to see him placed this far down on the card. Um, Obviously, Jordan and Pippin will um, obviously be hoping he can snap that streak, and I don't see why he can't, to be honest. Um, I still think the Ness is probably going to win it, but it's a close fight, and it should be because Morales is the more experienced. He's got the better skill set, had the better career. It's I say he's feels like he's been I was gonna say it feels like he's been around a lot longer, but than he has. But I thought he was in the UFC for much longer than what he is on the is on his record. But I suppose that goes to show how entertaining the fights were. I just feel like he's been in the UFC for loads of years. But anyway, Vince Morales there is the pick for Jordan and Pippin. Obviously, slight underdog, but um, could be a real dog. I seriously think he could be a real dog here because, like I say, he's way more experienced. And yes, even though it's not the best looking record on paper, he's been in there with some absolute killers like Raul Rosas Jr., for instance. And um, and the thing is, when he's been fighting the better guys like that, he's looked good. He's not looked too bad. Yes, he's been beaten, but he's passed the eye test. Um, I think he'd give Thignesse a serious fight here. So this might not be the worst underdog pick going, actually. Okay, so Jordan Pippin, yeah, that's a real sleeper pick, that one, I reckon. But anyway, we move on now. Uh to JP the Champ 27. Let's see who JP the Champ 27 will be matched with by the wheel. Another fan favourite, Junior Taffa. Um, source of many a joke, due to the sheer size of the lad. Um, but yeah, it's Junior Taffa there for JP the Champ 27. Again, is another fan favourite, similar, I suppose, to Taito Ivasa, but 6-5 records. It's obviously not the best, and again, entertaining, but not really. You can make the argument maybe he's not quite UFC level, but up against Kevin Christian, um, lost his UFC debut last time out against Billy Elikana, and he'll be looking to try and sort of avenge that because he's in theory the prospect going up against the notable name in Tafa here, but uh, Tafa is the favourite and does have more high level UFC experience, so it's again another one similar to Morales. But yes, you've been in the UFC and yes, you've been losing, but at least you've been fighting in the UFC. And so yeah, not too bad a pick. I still think Christian's going to win this one, but uh, because I still think that it's well, it's more to be a lack of faith in Tarfer really, because given his recent form, but has beaten good guys, but you'd never back. tougher to consistently beat people. Let's put it that way. You'd never put him in an accumulator. Um, but it will be an entertaining fight though, and that is one thing for sure. But I think Christiansen's going to be the one winning this. So hopefully not, because I mean you say goodbye to JP to Champ 27. But we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. Okay, so we have KK Kombu next. Let's see who KK Kombu's dance partner is going to be. Also with Junior Tafa. Um, Junior Tafa there for KK Kombu. So as I just said, more fights in the promotion, although obviously most of them haven't gone his way. Um, I would make the argument that it's a case of he's got a few more fights in the promotion before potentially being cast if he carries on losing. Uh, but what is it about Australians producing fan favorite heavyweights? It's they seem to have a habit of coming up with fan favorite heavyweights. For some reason down under, not quite sure what's in their cereal, but they're entertaining. That's for sure. But I still reckon Kevin Christian's going to win this. So as I just said about JP to Champ 27, I think that yeah, could be heading out, unfortunately, for KK Kombu. Okay, Knife Rusty is next. Let's see who the wheel will pick for Knife Rusty. Right on the line there, but it is Steve Urseg, former title challenger, of course, for the flyweight division. Put up an incredible showing in that as well. Um, I've picked him to win by decision. So I think that's again it's another very close fight, but Usyk's got the pedigree. He's been there and he's shown that he belongs at the top end of the flyweight rankings. Tim Elliott, of course, very experienced fighter. Probably the only one after Vince Morales, who can really rival for experience. Obviously, Elliott was in the UFC for longer than that, though. Um, and Elliott, to be fair to him, has been on a two fight win streak, which is actually better than Ursak's one. But Ursak coming off a win off Ode Osborne last time. But if you look at the ones he's lost to, though, they've all been brilliant top end of the division fighters. Obviously, his title loss against Pantoja, who was then champion at the time, of course. Kai Kara France, and then Brandon Moreno, who was flyweight champion multiple times. So these are brilliant results, brilliant fighters, right? Not brilliant results, not. But I mean, the fact that you're going the distance with two out of three of them, um, that shows you belong at the top of the division. And yeah, for my money, I think Steve Ursay takes this one. So pretty good. I think a pretty good pick here for Knife Rusty. Okay, so we move on now to Love Song. Let's see who Love Song will be matched with by the always devious wheel. It's Colby Thicknesse. Colby Thicknesse for Love Song. Uh, and as we've mentioned, as we already established earlier, that's now a head-to-head. Um, Vince Morales, of course, the more experienced of the two. Colby, the younger prospect, hometown favourite. Um, so he'll have he'll have the backing of the home crowd. That'll spur him on. That'll be the motivation, and uh, it's it is definitely a winnable fight for him. If it's more just a question of can he overcome Morales' superior experience. And honestly, I'm not 100% sure about this. I'm still leaning a little bit more towards Morales. So potentially. But anyway, that does put them in a head-to-head against the reigning defending champion Jordan and Pippin. So, and given that they're the current champions of Lucky Bastard Game, you probably don't want to be going up against them. Um, but again, we'll see how it plays out in a few hours' time. Rigno next. Let's see who Rigno is going to be given by the wheel. Cam Roaston. Cam Roaston there for Rigno. And, there's Cam Roaston obviously against Robert Brycek. Apologies to Robert for almost certainly butchering that pronunciation of your name. I'll just call you Robert from here on out. And again, it's quite an intriguing one. Obviously, Roaston be the hometown favourite. Once again, obviously, Wojciech travelling all the way from Poland for this fight, so it's coming a long way for it. Uh, but Roaston only a slight favourite, but probably that's probably about right. Um, Obviously knocked out Cody Brundage last time out, and I say just sort of a knockout machine, really. Um, or at least that's been his starts in the promotion anyway. Just come in and start knocking everyone out. So Brajek, of course, I say decent experience, coming off a win himself, a knockout win as well for Brad Tavares. So both these guys have got power. Uh, both of them can end the fight at any moment. So just a question of which one you prefer, really. I suppose it's for me. I do think Cam Roston's going to be the uh, hmm, excuse me, I can't stop yawning. All right, I think he's going to be the uh, one more likely to win anyway, Swan. But I think Rigno should be winning that one, or at least going through anyway. But close fight. Right, I suppose we better try and wrap this up before I fall asleep while doing this. Right. Okay, so we move on to Shat. Let's see who Shat is going to be matched with. Also with Cam Roston. Cam Roston there for Shat as well. So uh, as I said, it's intriguing fight. Both guys got power to end it. Cam Roston, I think, probably more likely to find a shot. Uh, Better form, obviously, and as a hometown favourite. So even if it does go the distance, well, obviously judges shouldn't be swayed by the local audience, but they can and are on a fairly regular basis. So he'll have a slight favourite advantage there. An advantage that a lot of people probably refuse to acknowledge, but it will be there should it go the distance. And but I don't think it will anyway. One of these guys is knocking the other one out. Would be my prediction for this. So prediction of that one really is just going to be an entertaining fight. But Shats, as I just said with Rigno, should go through. Okay, so we move on to CN6. Let's see who CN6 is going to be matched with. What's the world got in store for CN6? Yep, I called a sleeper pick here, Vince Morales. Vince Morales there for CN6. And yes, he's the underdog in the fight, but I think the experience he's got, I think he can make that count, even though he's not had the best results in the promotion, but part of that is because he's been thrown in there with some absolute killers. Uh, is say yes to any fight, anywhere, anytime, and I do rate fighters a lot for that attitude. Even if it does negatively affect their results, but and their record, but seriously good fighter though, and like I say, he's got that experience behind him. Um, maybe he'll come up with find us and the thing with the experience as well, it's a case of you never know in an MMA fight. You could find yourself in a position that you've never covered in a fight before or never gone over in training. The more experienced of the two, more likely to have seen those sort of things before, and like, all right, so here's what we do. Here's how we control that situation. And in a sport like MMA, where fights can be decided in moments, that might just be all it takes. But yeah, I think CN6 with the underdog, but I think a real sleeper pick. Um, that one. So I wouldn't be ruling him out just yet. Okay, me, Steve Terry. Let's see who I get. I wasn't expecting to get through to the second round, but with Davy Grant, but fair play to him. He got me through, so thank you, Davy. I appreciate that. Let's see who I live to possibly get knocked out by in this one. Jonathan Mikhailov for me. Jonathan Mikhailov. Let me spell his name right. It's, I'd say not too bad a pick, all things considered. Um, definitely could have been worse, 'cause especially judged by some of the ones that have come up against Themba Gorimbo. Um, and Gorimbo, I do rate him as a fighter, but it's again just hometown advantage for Jonathan Mikhailov. And Gorimbo, his last fight was a bit of an odd one, wasn't it? It was that's lost. Oh, I know the one before, rather, against Vincente Luque. He did not look himself, getting subbed within a minute of the first round. Was that seriously back nearly in 2024? How? I thought that was his last fight off the top of my head. I forgot about the Jeremiah Wells fight. But yeah, anyways, I still can't quite shake that performance out of my head though. So I think I've got a decent chance here, especially if that version of Garimbo turns up. But obviously the crowd will be rooting for Jonathan Mikhailov, as I will be from the other side of the world now that he's my pick for this game. So yeah, good luck to Jonathan Mikhailov. Okay, the Dirty UFC man. Let's see who the Dirty UFC man is going to be matched with. Quillian Salkild. Quillian Salkild there for the Dirty UFC man, and I have no idea how we're spelling that one. Q Quillian uh, SAL kill SALKILLD, but without the E for the kills. That makes no sense. Sakilid. Yeah. So apologies to Quillian for butchering that and possibly butchering your first name as well, and put it past me if I've completely messed that up. But brilliant prospect though. He's been absolutely tearing through the UFC so far. Um, and he can do it all. He's knockout submissions. He can go the distance. He's a serious all-round threat. And against Daniel Dariush, I think that's a real chance for him to get a good name on his record as well. I think it's now they're starting to realise they need to step him up in competition, and I think he will. I think he'll match. I think he'll answer that because his previous opponents have just been completely outmatched by him. So the Dirty UFC man, brilliant chance of getting through. Uh, so yeah, even though Dariush was more experienced, been around the UFC for longer, Salkill's been, I say, just been on an absolute tear in the promotion, really putting the division on notice. So I think the Dirty UFC man, you can say, is pretty much as good as through. Okay, so we have Trail next. Let's see who Trail is going to be matched with. And Shamil Gaziev for Trail there. Shamil Gaziev. Um, and as I said, is in that heavyweight fight where anything can end in a second, and probably will end in a second with these two. Brando Perisic, of course, surprised me last time by knocking out Lewis Sutherland. Um, and I think he might surprise us again, although admittedly it'd be less of a surprise. Gaziev, way more experienced, almost twice as more than twice as many fights as Perisic, but Perisic showed me so those like I say that fight against Sutherland. Maybe I remember it so well because I fairly confidently picked Sutherland to win that. When you get proved wrong in spectacular fashion, those results do stick in your mind a bit more. And can he get a win over Gaziev? That would be a better win on his record. But again, Gaziev, terrifying fighter, got pure knockout power, and yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a very, very tough fight, but I think this will be one of those that comes down to who lands the better shot or combination first. But Trail very much in with a 50-50 chance of staying in. Okay, so we go on to Troz now. Let's see who Troz is going to be paired with. Jonathan Mikhailov, same one as me, so it's a double up there. And Jonathan Mikhailov, and for Troz, as I've said, he's going to be having the home crowd right behind him and cheering on us. Assuming obviously the Australians are going to be rooting for their own man. I wouldn't see why not, but yeah, against Semba Garimbo, who, like I say, do still rate him as a fighter, but that was a very odd result from 2024. So I believe it was one of the ones that was also investigated by the FBI for potential match fixing or betting because there was suspicious betting lines on that fight. So, but again, that is all speculation. So I'm not going to comment on that too much. But I'm certainly not going to claim it as if it's fact. But that's what happened. Could have just had a completely off night. But since that night, though, regardless of what's happened, I do feel a lot more confident in picking the opponents over Garimbo. And yeah, Mikhailov, I think it's going to be yeah, should be good enough for this. Should get through without too many issues. At least that's what I'm hoping for, anyway. That's definitely changed my opinion of the fight now that I've been drawn with it. Never thought I'd get this invested in my own game, but then again, I've never experienced, very rarely experienced the dizzying heights of the second round. But hopefully, if I do go through to a third round, Tross will be joining me. Um, so yeah, Tross, Jonathan Mikhailov, and with a decent, I would not say decent, but with definitely within with a shout of getting through to the third round. Okay, Vasquez 88, the penultimate one, 21 out of 22. Let's see who Vasquez is going to be paired with. Yeah, shit, I didn't switch it back to the last one, but yeah, just clarify that was shots with Jonathan McCarlef there. Vasquez 88. Let's see who Vasquez is going to be matched with. Brando Perisic. Well, I tell you what, that 50-50 head-to-head fight is um, almost challenging for the unofficial Lucky Bastard Game fight of the night spots. Obviously, still some way to go before that happens. I don't think it will now that we've given how many were on the Schultz Johnson fight earlier. But there's been a few either side of this, so uh, very interesting. We've almost got two, I suppose. Lucky Bastard Game main events. That doesn't sound right saying that out loud, actually. But should only be one. But anyway, Perisic, Gaziev, going to be an entertaining fight. I don't see it going the distance, but Gaziev more experienced if it does go the distance, and but Perisic. Oh, excuse me. I say he's got power. Maybe that's maybe that's you could argue, well, is he just another one trick heavyweight pony, just got power and nothing else? I don't think so. As not as well as having the power, he also looked good in most other aspects of his game against Sutherland last time. So I'll be picking uh it's yeah, Perisic for this one based on the strength of his last fight. At least I'm not going to bet against him, given how wrong he proved me last time. So that's K88, 50-50 chance of getting through in the sort of heavyweight 50-50 one. But I reckon he's probably got the slight favourite of them. Okay, and finally brings us on to ex-con Chris. Let's see who ex-con Chris is going to be matched with for one final spin of this round. Don Marfan. Don Marfan in the opening fight against Cody Steele, of course. So very original entry to finish us off. Uh, Hometown favourite again from well, as I say, hometown. Australia is massive. It's probably nowhere near where the venue is being held. Probably several countries lengths over. But home country favourite anyway. Home nation favourites. Don Marfan, and again, I do believe that both on the fighter and the judges, it has a real massive psychological impact. Because I mean, if you're a fighter and you're in a fight and you've got thousands of people screaming your name behind you, that's going to spur you on. That's going to give you a sort of an adrenaline boost that you really needed. Take a lot of confidence from that, and yeah, and of course, if it does go the distance, the judges will be affected by that, especially even if it's not just them yelling abuse at the judge or the ref, just from the fact that every time the home fighter comes close to landing a shot or misses, but it's a shot people think of that, and then much more likely to give a stronger reaction that way. And yeah, that would fuck with the judges' minds a little bit. But Don fan should be, I say, close fights against Kevin Steele to open up the open up the card. Um, I think he's going to be all right. I think, and Excon Chris should be all right as a result. Okay. Mhm. Excuse me again, but yeah. So that's the conclusion of the second round draw for the 37th edition of the Tapology Lucky Bastard game. I'll just run through those names one more time for everyone. Make sure I'm actually on the PowerPoint. Let's you have Baron von Rattus with Ben Johnson. C. Collins 44 with Shamil Gaziev. D1 D4K10 with Louis Sutherland. Dr. Maxis 2 with Wes Schultz. Grahamon with Ben Johnson. Great with Wes Schultz. It's your boy SB with Ben Johnson. Jack Soto with Ollie Schmid. Our reigning defending Tapology Lucky Bastard Games champions, Jordan and Pippin, with Vince Morales. JP the Champ 27 with Junior Taffa, as is KK Kombu, also with Junior Taffa. Knife Rusty with Steve Urseg. Love Song with Colby Thignesse. Rigno with Cam Roston. Shat also with Cam Roston. Cian 6 with Vince Morales. Me, Steve Terry, with Jonathan McAuliffe. The Dirty UFC Man with Quillian Salkeld. Trail with Shamil Gaziev. Troz with Jonathan McAuliffe. Vasquez 88 with Brando Perisic. And finally, Excon Chris with Don Marfan. So that concludes the second round draw. All that leaves me to say is best of luck to everyone for their picks on this card. And if you've got any bets on this fight in real life, good luck with those. And I'll see you in the third round. Assuming the whole thing doesn't get cancelled and they all count as losers. But whoever's here in the third round, I'll see you then. But now I have to try and get at least a couple hours sleep before this event starts in probably about 4 or 5 hours. But until we meet again, so long for now.